All right. Hey, so welcome. Um, it's been a while. I'm going to get the Instagram going. For those watching this, you'll catch it later. For anyone watching Instagram, you'll catch it live. So, yeah, if you look at the title, just letting Instagram load up. But yeah, good evening, Instagram. Hello to Facebook, YouTube, everyone else. I'm hoping this mic comes through clearly. But yeah, like I said before in the recording, 45 seconds ago. It's been a while. Um, I got off social media for about 2 weeks. I needed a cleanse with everything going on in the world. And if you read the title of this across all platforms, it says, "Do you know what month this is?" And to me, there are two very, very important things about this month. There will be other people who find this month important for other reasons. With all due respect, that is not important to me. Uh, I have two things that are very important to me that affect my life personally. First and foremost, this is the month where I became a boy dad almost 9 years ago. It'll be 9 years in 3 days, June 8th. My son Kingston was born. He was born, if you do the math, you go back 9 years from now, we were at the beginning of rising up with a number and a litany of issues with law enforcement and their interactions with black men. So I had a son at like a really great time who was raising a black young man at a perfect opportunity. And then a year afterwards, jumped into law enforcement. Brilliant thinking on my part. But outside of my son, who is an incredible, intelligent, outstanding young man, the other important thing about this month that I think is lost amongst other things is this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Again, this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I work for a large company. If you go on my social media, you see the company. If you find me on LinkedIn, you know the company. And I was in a very professional corporate setting, and a conversation was had about a number of things that are this month. And one thing stood out amongst others, and it's everywhere in the offices. And I was like, okay. And then there's a number of other things. There's a sprinkle of like Juneteenth there, like a couple. But there are flags everywhere and blazing. Hey, would you like this? No, thank you. Not my deal. But okay. And they asked the question afterwards, is there anything else going on this month? And I sat there and I waited. I do what I always do. I raised my hand. I spoke up. I said, hey, for all of you who aren't aware, um, there's another flag associated with this month. Its colors are yellow and shades of green. And they said, no, that flag is up. And I said, no, the flag isn't up. This month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And in a room of around 110 to 120 directors, managing directors, and area supervisors and regional people, a just blank stares at my black face. Now, about four or five of them come afterwards. One gentleman from he's he's the guy for the West Coast. I'll put it that way. And he said, I had no idea. I had no clue. And I had a couple conversations through the day, and I left the office. Of course, I come home, and even on the ride home, I thought to myself, with a lot that's been going on in my life personally. I thought the fact that no one knew is like so on par. Like it is so ideal that there's an entire month dedicated to men's mental health and like barely anyone knows. And in that moment, I said, that's about right. I'd messaged my cousins. We have a group text. I messaged them a couple of days ago. And I wanted to do this, and I'll make it quick because, you know, it's the summertime and I have a small child that lives with me. So I got to keep her entertained. Uh, the fact that no one knew this month existed, it hit me in a place that reminded me of what it always reminds me of. There is this push and this idea and conversations had about how to normalize men having feelings, how to be comfortable with men sharing who they are and their authentic selves, allowing men to be open and vulnerable. I tell people the difference between um, honesty or, clarity or whatever you would like to call it, truth really, and vulnerability is those other things. Someone being honest and real with you, that's just the truth. There's honest, they broke. The vulnerability is them telling you, they've been living in their car, like they're homeless, they're couch hopping. That's vulnerability. That takes a bond, a level of respect and love, and a tightness that a lot of people don't have. And bringing it back to men, a lot of us don't have that. So in this month, even interacting with men who I know and love, they don't know. So in the group text to my cousins, I said, hey, listen, I'm not saying that because it's this month, but pay attention for this month because it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And full disclosure, cover your ears, children. Um, in all reality, there are niggas you see every day who feel silent with microphones in front of their faces. No pun intended. Uh, they feel alone in crowded rooms and they are suffering in darkness under tons of light. Let that sit for a second. Men who you call strong, your dad, your uncle, your cousins, specifically men of a certain age. I was having a conversation with a relative and she was telling me some things about a relationship. We prayed and we spoke, and I thought with some of the things she was detailing me, I wonder if he's ever talked to his grandfather about what his real experience was as a man growing up. And a lot of us don't have that. And there are men who suffer in silence. There are men who will go throughout this month and they'll promote it and they'll speak it. I applaud my soon to be wife. She asks me every day, how are you doing? And not because she's a therapist, not because she's my fiance, but she asked me because she actually cares. And she bugs me about it because she really wants to know, oh, bro, are you okay? And so many of us, the automatic, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm straight, I'm okay, knowing that you're not, knowing that you're not. So this is my call to anyone who watches this. I could give you stats. I could tell you how amongst minorities, no one takes their life more than black men. I could tell you that amongst minorities, while black women lead the category in suicidal ideations, black men lead the category in following through. I could tell you about the exponential raise in numbers amongst black men taking their own lives that has seen a jump prior to COVID, and how that number not only has increased, but specifically how it's trickled down from where it used to float around 17 to 18 to now dropping down to the 13, 14 range. Black men taking their lives younger, deciding that this ain't it. I'm gone, put me up then, and deciding to go. I've in the past 6 weeks, I've had to ask outright, out of my mouth, two relatives and one associate. Of those three people, two were males. I've had to ask them outright from my mouth, do you want to be here tomorrow? Do you want to live? Do I need to come and get the gun? I know you have guns to crib, bro. Do you need me to come and get them? That's in the last 6 weeks. Like this is real life. This isn't. I'm not doing this for clicks or for likes. I have learned I don't care about followers. I don't care about interest or what like engagement isn't a thing for me. It's influence. The words that God put on my heart to say, did it influence you? Did it change something? Did something I say prick your heart to where you like, I need to go reassess this? I continue to check on those two, all three of them, including the female, all three. Not because I know the numbers, but because I personally known people who thought today's the day. I've told the story before where I could remember shortly after my divorce. It was one of the probably the third time I went and picked up my kids after my divorce from the house. Here's my kids living in the house that I'm still paying for, driving in the car that I paid for. All of these things that was me, and I don't care about the money, but in that moment, it was anger, divorce, and audacity, and this, and not accepting roles I played. But in that moment, I remember dropping my kids and driving over a bridge. And I've told this story before, and that was the first time in my adult life where the thought ran through my brain of you could drive off of this bridge and nobody would care. You could go and your kids will get a check. At the time, I only had 3 kids. One was on the way, and I have my little brother. My little brother is still like on my insurance, like he gets a check. And I was thinking, okay, my little brother will get paid this. That ran through my brain. Like I've had moments where I thought like the world would be better off without me. And for people who know me, I'm very much someone who I've been truly blessed. I'm saved by grace. I have conversations with my fiance where she talks about, like she'll ask me, she has a look of shock, and I'm like, no, like I could, I talk about being a fighter. Growing up, me and my sister joke. I tell her all the time, the difference between you and I was you were wild enough to get caught fighting. I did all of my dirt and was able to slide around, uh, by the grace of God. But I think of like just being, a fighter and tough and all of these issues. And I think of how many times where I was like, all right, I don't want to be here. I think of people who died young. I think of relatives who've taken their own lives and all of this weight and all of these things and all of that. And I think of this month. Then I think past this month because I know the way that this works is the squeaky wheel gets the oil. This month, other topics will be pushed. There will be other things in the news. Your job will probably overlook this. And more than likely, you probably have 2 to 3 males who you work with who, within the last 90 days, have struggled with possibly hurting themselves, harming themselves, eliminating themselves from this earth, or even to a point where, the base and the foundation of a lot of that substance abuse. They can't put the bottle down. They can't put the weed down, whatever it is. So I'm gonna wrap this up by saying this. This is this. Let me get nice and close so you understand. This is not a month to bull crap around and joke with your partners and your homeboys and niggas who you cool with. Ah, man, this is not a time or a season to when someone tells you something, you don't adhere to it. There should be men in your life who this month you tell them to their face, hey, I love you. And because you're alive and because you're here, man, such a blessing. There are people who need to hear that from you. From you. They need to hear it. You shouldn't let this month, this week, this day go by without telling them. Because everyone is sad at the funerals. Everybody's sad at the funeral. My mother reminds us all the time. She's been telling us for years. She's nowhere near death, beating cancer, kicked out. Uh, but she tells us when I go, don't have nobody crying all over my thing, because that's what people do. When they're alive, you have an opportunity to embrace them, to love on them, but you don't. Then they go in the grave. See, now they're gone. They can't hear you. They're gone. So this month shouldn't pass without you embracing somebody who you know, who you love, and telling them that. If you're a dude and you watching this isn't the time for your homeboy and he comes to you, your brother, hey man, bro, I really appreciate you. Oh nigga, that's gay. Get out of here with it. This isn't the time for that. This is not the time. There are far too many of us, specifically people who look like me, who quite honestly, and I pray, like it says, like God wants that no man would perish. I pray that there's no one who commits the act of taking their own life this month. However, I know not the statistics, I know how heavy life gets and how some people decide that is their only way out. So embrace a brother this month, love on him, cherish him, enjoy him. Let him know his worth, let him know his value, let him know he's important. Because far too often we do it when the person is gone. They don't get those flowers. They don't get that praise. They don't get that pat on the back. They don't get that love because he didn't need it because he'll be all right because he's a dude because men will be fine. This month is a lot like Father's Day. When Mother's Day comes around, we used to joke, and it's true. When Mother's Day comes around, you can't get into a restaurant you ain't made reservations for. It's not happening. It's not. Uh, you can't get a basketball game, baseball, hockey, whatever sports season. You're not getting tickets. And that Mother's Day special layout is going to be amazing. Mother's Day is so awesome because we have a love and an admiration for women. Mother's Day is so awesome that it spills over into Father's Day, that we allow women to get praise on the day designed for the fathers. And we, for the most part, we don't give pushback because it's just like, well, she's doing the job of two. That's the way it rolls. This month is a lot like that. It'll be overlooked and ignored like Father's Day. And it'll be overlooked and ignored like a lot of men in your lives who are teetering on the brink of insanity because nobody's tapping in or reaching out. So please, again, I challenge you. This is it. This isn't the month of being jokey with your friends or your partners. My boy B. White in here. I appreciate you, King. I appreciate you, man. I love everything you do. I love seeing you be an active, present father, husband, That brother got content out. He doing it. He's doing the work. And I appreciate you, King. You really getting after it. Salute. Follow B White. Go buy his book. Support him. Help put that baby through school. But yeah, man, in all honesty, embrace a brother who you know. How they say, check on your strong friends. Check on the men in your life this month. Again, I could give you statistics. I could tell you all of those numbers, but you don't need them. Because deep down in your heart and heart, in your soul of souls, you know that you walk past a relative, a brother, a cousin, a coworker every single day. That you sense it, you feel it on your spirit. You should talk to this person. You don't do it. Now, I remind you again, no one likes going to funerals, but everyone always has revisionist history once they're there. I love them. I did this. I did that. And we don't do it when the person is present. We have the opportunity. So if you didn't know what this month is, you know what it is now. It's Men's Mental Health Month. There's a flag for it. There's shirts. There's all of that. So I would tell you, don't just check on your strong friends. Check on your weak friends. Check on the black ones, the white ones. Check on every man who you know who's a single father. Check on every man who you know that's a widower. Check on your grandfathers, your uncles, the men who you love, who every day you just tell, thank you for paying a light bill or whatever. Check on him and make it real. I pray that you all invest in a man this month to love on him, to share with him, to make sure he's all right. I'm going to be doing random homie checks throughout the month because I know what it's like to say you're okay, to get people away from you and not want to open yourself up because you fear the backlash of the conversation. Skip that. It's not the season for that. It's the season of vulnerability. So, man, I love y'all. Y'all be well. Enjoy the month. Live life. Live life. I pray that you have the will to live and that God instill in you a willingness to see tomorrow. Love y'all. I'm out. Peace. Deuces, y'all.